Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Do one this time?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just do that one, and then next we'll do two. Then we can do I'll give notes on takeaways on Leadership Academy, and we can share.
We're going to separate that. Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're going to separate them because they'll be two good ones. There'll be too
Okay.
much for one. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey Dana, so we are getting close to closing out another year. Good Lord, can they go any faster?
I know. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it's December 16th. You're probably done Christmas shopping, aren't you?
Oh, Dana, please. No, we decided to go to Montana for Christmas, which screwed up the whole thing. I have no plan because the plane doesn't have room to take everything.
Oh, yeah. So, what are you going to do?
Well, we're going to probably do most of it here. I'm going to let Anna do hers in Montana. And so I'm going to do the girls and everybody here because I don't want to tote all that stuff. I'm already toting ski clothes and ski boots. I mean, it's like a negative number there. Can't believe, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I know. It's nuts. Well, we go to Florida the day after Christmas every year to Adam's mom's. And this year we're not going because Addison and Amelia got in to this insane tennis tournament that only 125 kids from the country get into. And They both got in, and it's in Tucson, Arizona. So I was like, oh, it'll be warm there. No, there's an Arctic front coming. It's like in the high 50s. So I told Press this last night. I literally said to Adam last night, the kids' passports just expired. I'm like, how fast could we get their passports renewed so that we could just jump down to Cabo for 3 days after?
Yeah. Yes. No kidding.
Some beach somewhere.
Some heat somewhere too. Well, super excited. I was telling you the other day that I've actually had so many people reach out in the last couple of weeks. And I think, Dana, we're going to see this in 2023. I think you're going to have a lot of agents question, what am I doing? What do I want to do? And I think change always makes that happen. I think change makes, and the interesting thing is it's not only agents who aren't producing very much. It's actually agents who are producing at a pretty high level.
Yep, totally.
And so it really made me start thinking, oh my gosh, what in the world would cause somebody to look up other than another bigger opportunity? Because, back in the late 90s, I actually turned my real estate business over to my brother-in-law.
Yep.
I turned it over to him so that I could go out and create things that gave me more freedom. So I knew that my mission in life was to get freedom and to create freedom. I didn't know that it would be eventually to help other people create freedom. However, it was extremely difficult to let go and even turn it over to someone. Now, and he ran it for the next 20 years. And then even after the 20th year, when we actually sold it to him for 7 figures, that was difficult also. So I was kind of struggling a little bit with what in the world would make someone who has a perfectly good business. Well, because first of all, most really smart people like Warren Buffett, different people like that, I've heard Gary say this before too, is the time to sell a great business is never, right? Yeah. So I knew that going in when it was time to make a decision about selling it to my brother-in-law who had been running it for me for 20 years. And there were some circumstances that made it a little bit different and made me go ahead and make the decision to sell. 7 figures was one of them. But I think what makes me nervous about the people that have been reaching out to me, and I've got a few calls I got to do after the first of the year with people, and I'm so glad that I had this aha in a leadership class last week because I think I can help the people better. Mm-hmm. And what it says is when you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is you'll make a quick decision that will affect the rest of your life and will affect the last 10 that you've used to build a great real estate business. And so I'm really seeing that 2023 is going to have a lot of agents, not just agents who aren't producing very much, but actually agents who are, from the outside looking in, would look like they got it all together and they're doing great.
Yeah. We've had several too. And I know we keep talking about this, but I've had a lot who are wanting to partner and merge their businesses together, or they're looking at wanting to have more time back. And honestly, Gary said this too. A lot of them, I think, even if it looks like you said, from the outside, they're doing a huge business, they might not want to go through another shift in the market. I mean, it's a different time, you know what I mean? I mean, you have to work harder and you have to watch things harder, and it's a different from being in a speed-based market. And I'm even seeing a lot of agents that I'm talking to, like, they're just not sure that they want to do that again.
Well, you know what makes me sad about that is you should have your life in such a way that you actually look forward to a shift.
Yep.
And I know that from experience because the first shift I ever went through, I was in my early 20s. I didn't know what in the world happened. The economy crashed all around us. We wound up $600,000 in debt from a nightclub that Jimmy owned that we had to sell for a short sale that we didn't, couldn't get the money out of it we had in it or owed against it. And that was so painful.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful for that lesson because when 2008 came around, in 2009, we were in a different position. We were in a position to buy a ton of real estate investing. So the part of me that is a teacher, that is someone who wants to serve others and lead others, I want to help people get in a different place to make those decisions. I'm totally okay if that's the decision you make, as long as we've checked off some things. So I think the first question, my aha this week in Leadership Academy was this, is to ask people, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to accomplish? And maybe even let's go farther than that. Let's go to the end of your life. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to stand for? Because I think the decisions are getting made on shallow answers, not deep answers. And
what do you mean by that though? Like, if somebody's like, what do you mean by shallow versus deep?
I think they're just thinking, oh, I want to make sure that I'm not having to either work like this, or when my kid gets to be this age, I want to be doing this. And the only way they see to do it is to totally get rid of what they have instead of saying, okay, what are my options with this? And so I think the first thing you have to do is, number one, understand who you are. Do some kind of behavioral assessments, things like that. We call ours a KPA, which is Keller Personality Assessment, and I like it because it kind of even gives you certain roles that you behaviorally match. And I think because I hit that wall, in 12 years in the business, 200 transactions year after year, I understand the ceiling. I understand it totally. I feel it. I can almost feel it today. But what I want people to be careful of is it a ceiling that you need to try to figure out how to break through? And the only way you can answer and make major decisions like turning your business over to someone or selling it is if you're real clear about who you are and what you want your future to look like. So here was a perfect example with someone I talked to. I just started asking her questions. And one of the questions I ask is, what needs to happen in the next few years for you to feel great about your progress? What are you going to be after? She goes, well, one thing I want to be after is passive income. I said, okay, fantastic. Every decision you make now needs to say, is it going to check this box? Mm-hmm. Is it going to, not it just, so that's my only concern, is that I don't care if people wind up making the decision to sell their business, because I did that. But I walked into a bigger opportunity. And otherwise, but for 20 years, I just had somebody run it. So I want people to understand, let's look at all the options before you make a decision. Yep. Don't just look at the one in front of you, and then be very clear about, if we were sitting down in your life 5 years from now and 10 years from now, what are the major things that would be important? And I think number one on everybody's chart, Dana, is options.
Yep.
I think everybody would say options.
Well, Gary said that we've now turned into we want ultimate optionality. Post-pandemic. Like, that was one of the things.
Love that word.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I remember hearing him say. That was one of the things that he felt the most strongly about coming out of the pandemic, is people want ultimate optionality. They want it with where they grocery shop. They want it with, how they can do their kids' school. They want it with how they work. I mean, they want it with everything.
Yeah.
And I think that we're seeing a lot of real estate business owners the same thing. And you said something earlier that made me think about this. I think also that they're thinking or, not and.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I don't think that it has to be either I'm going to have a real estate business or I'm not. I think they need to be thinking, I can have a real estate business and like, what do I have to do to still have that? And yeah, it might not be what it was, I think it's all about whether they're wanting more time or more money. I mean, ultimately those are the two things, and most of the time people want both, but like, which one specifically right now in their life do they need the most of? Because they could probably figure out a way to leverage, still have some income coming in, which is what you did with Brad. I mean, you guys sold it, but he paid you over years, right? So you still had you.
Yeah, for the first 20 years, we still owned it, and he got a salary plus an override of anything he grew it from where we had it to what he grew it to. So
Right.
he got rewarded for the growth that he did, and he got a salary for maintaining it where we had it. And then when we sold it to him, he actually gave us quite a bit of equity, and then we financed the rest
Right.
over a certain period of time. So yeah, so it became still a passive stream of income. But I'm going to tell you, even today, looking at what's happening with the expansion, I have moments where I go, I wish I hadn't sold that business, because it would be a great platform for me to put the right people in and do expansion with. And I think the other thing that changes is, because a lot of agents don't master people, Dana, and you and I both know how
Oh
hard
yeah.
it can be if you don't learn, which I can't wait. On one of our next sessions, we're going to talk about the new Leadership Academy that Gary just did. I had so many ahas in there. And I remember almost 30 years, 20 something years ago, maybe 25 years ago, Gary taught a Leadership Academy, and basically a leadership class. And I was telling him my aha this time was, oh my gosh, what a difference it makes to have gone out and failed my way forward in this class. And so much of the truths are still the truths today. And
Yep.
so I can't wait. We'll dive into that one of our next sessions. But I think I think you've got to be careful, because you could just be hitting a ceiling. And so I'm really determined that while I'm up in the mountains over Christmas, I'm going to figure out what are great questions that
Yeah.
I can ask these people, so that they come to a great answer. They don't just do whatever is the thing they think they need to do, right? You said something earlier. You said that you think sometimes they, well, I think we maybe even said this in another podcast too, but they think it's going to be, it's the way they're doing it. It somehow is not either fulfilling them,
Yeah.
or it's restricting them, or it's something. And so instead of thinking of a different way to do it, they think the only option is to get rid of it, like you said.
Not do it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, not do it anymore. So I just want to figure out what are the great questions I can ask these people, so they think through everything,
Yeah.
and they're really clear about who they are and where they're going. Gary said something real interesting in the Leadership Academy. He said people are living their mission, they just don't know what it is. And you know how, and I said, one of my ahas is when I teach Quantum Leap, which is our life achievement courses, I kind of skim through mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives pretty quickly. I won't do that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I won't do it, because when these people have started calling me and they're on the verge of making a decision, I start to panic and think, oh my gosh, as a leader, why didn't I already have this done with them?
Yeah.
Why didn't I already help them know
Yep.
who they are and what their gifts are, what their talents are, what their
Yep.
mission is? Because that would help. That would be a filter to drop a decision like this through. And right now, I don't think there's a filter that they're dropping it through.
Yeah. Adam actually won't take a coaching client unless they have their mission, vision, values like all really spelled out. If they don't have it, he'll do one like really deep dive call with them to go through that, and then they have to have it by the next time, or he won't even work with them, because he always says that if you don't have that to measure up against you, whenever something goes wrong or something gets hard, or you need to make a big decision, you can't do it because you don't
Right.
know what you're measuring it up against your mission to. And I think a lot of it though, Linda, too, is I just think people got burnt out, and I just don't think that they're taking time to even do things that will fulfill them or like give them energy back again, and some of those things. Because I mean, we all get burnt out, especially after the last couple of years, and especially at the end of a year. I mean, it's like I'm ready to not do anything for the next couple of weeks and enjoy my family and my Christmas trees and all that stuff. And so I think sometimes I agree with you. I love like coming up with a really good list. I wrote that down. I'm going to think of some too. Really great questions to ask people when they're contemplating this. But I think I think too, they just need to, like, I just want to know, is it a burnout? Have they hit a ceiling? Or like, do they really need a life change? You know, I mean, I just think those are three totally separate things.
Well, and what is the real cost of a true life change? If
Yeah.
you put 10 years in something, that's time on task.
Yeah.
Um, are you on the 5 yard line or are you on the 50 of something
That's
and
I always remember when you say that.
you're about to get it out of there? So I just think it's a more serious decision
Yeah.
than people are running it through. And so I want to, my wake up call is if I'm that person's leader, I want to make sure that I'm helping them make the best decision for them. And I'm totally not attached to what the decision is, but I am totally freaking out thinking, I don't think they are ready to make the decision because I don't think they have a true north or a filter to guide them. And the other thing is, I think it's a great opportunity when something gets. This is just something I've always done because freedom is so important to me that when something becomes so much friction for me, I've learned to step back and go, okay, what do I need to change?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the only thing I need to do is give up more.
Yeah.
And if you're going to give up the whole thing, what's just giving up a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, let's give up a little bit. What's the worst that's going to happen? And it's amazing to me because people won't, for literally probably $100,000 or less, you could have somebody come in and you don't go back in tomorrow. They just do it, right? It's not quite that simple, but you get the gist of it. And so if you're willing to just walk away completely, one option is to bring somebody in, pay them a certain amount, and then let them take over like we did with Brad. And I don't think people even think about that as an option. They think it's I got to get rid of it completely or I got to be the one to do all of it. And I think that that's where the burnout comes in.
Yeah. I'm going back to thinking about a couple things. When Pastor Daniel Floyd, who you met, who we do John Maxwell with, and he came to speak at the summit, and we asked him a question about when you have to, like, when you're making a really big decision or you feel like you need to make a life change or something like that. And he gave these 5 things. I don't remember all 5 of them, and I don't have my notebook in front of me, but I remember a couple of them. And it was, number 1 was like, where's the biblical truth around it? If you're a person of faith, like go back and read past principles of things. And I just ordered this book. Oh my gosh. Have you read this? This is a squirrel. Josh. Sorry, I had to mute. I was hearing static. Josh sent this to me and I just ordered it, but it's not going to be here till after Christmas. For self-leadership, it's called Habitudes, and it's by Tim Elmore, and it's images that form leadership habits and attitudes, and each page is a different image. Like the first one is an iceberg, and he talks about how the iceberg relates to a principle in leadership. And it's really good. And so I can't wait to get that. But it made me think of that because Pastor Floyd, the first thing he said was go back and see if there's a biblical principles or has it ever happened anywhere in the Bible, stuff like that. And then the second thing was seek wise counsel, which is probably why people are calling you, and a couple have called me. You're much wiser, so they're definitely probably more calling you.
It's on the day, right? Someday you're the adulter adult.
So you should definitely seek wise counsel. And he said a lot of times that doesn't just mean like one person. You might need to go to 10 different people and like really see what, who's done it, who thought about doing it, why didn't they do it, who did do it, and why did they do it, and how did it turn out, and all that other stuff. And then I don't remember the third and the fourth, but I remember the fifth, which was, he said, what do you want to do? Like he said, really, sometimes you just have to like ask yourself in your gut, what do you really want to do? Because you might, and if you woke up tomorrow and sold your business, would you be sad? Like, just really thinking about the long-term effects of things like that.
Well, and I think the other thing, and especially when someone's either that'd be great questions if you were going to sell it, but we got a lot of people looking to merge and join other people. I think where that can go wrong is what your expectation of what your life's going to look like afterwards and what their expectation of it is 2 different things. So even getting clear on what will my life look like in the new role, because that person has expectations. They are not either buying your business or merging your business without some type of expectations of what you're going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And it may completely be anything, might completely be anything that you're expecting, right? You may think that's not going to I'm not going
Yeah.
to spend all my time doing that. And they're going to think, oh, I hope you spend all your time doing this because this is what I'm merging with you for.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had several conversations with agents and teams who have wanted to merge, and after we really go through several conversations, have not. Um, and I think I'm proud of them because I think sometimes the easy thing was to just rush in and do it on the front end, and I think it would have ended in a disaster, if you didn't really take your time and go through it.
Yeah, and I've actually told people before, do an interim period that it's not solidified or anything else, and spell it out how we're going to get out of business with each other, and let's do a trial period there. Make sure we're all getting out of it what we thought we were going to get out of it.
Well, funny you say that
Slow it
because
down. Main thing is slow it down.
slow it down, yeah. Because funny you say that though, Linda. Because when I was with Gary, and one of the things I asked him at the end was about that, and he did say that he and Jason and Jay are writing a course on partnerships, like coming together and merging in partnerships that'll come out in 2023. But the one thing he said is that he said have people if they're set on it, have them try it and don't combine any of their money together. Like just have a set, a short time frame for 6 months where they're going to try to do things together. Don't either one of them get rid of their brands. Don't commingle any money, and then see if it works. And he said then they'll know one way or the other. And actually went back and gave that advice to 2 of my top agents, and they ended up not partnering together. And I think, I just think that's great advice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I think the wake up call, I think for most people needs to be, hey, this is going to be a time that we're all going to kind of wake up and think hard times. They cause people to, well, anytime there's change, people do kind of crazy things, and that's okay. It could be a great decision, but I think making the decision without some thought and, like you said, wise counsel, and just really slowing it down, and making sure that what you really are trying to accomplish is going to do it. Because I think about how hard it is to build these real estate businesses, and you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years into it. I don't know how you to just walk away from that. Let's figure out other ways that you could solve whatever you're trying to solve. And still keep an asset that you've spent a lot of time and energy building.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, like Linda too, I'm just now thinking, this will be my 18th year. Next year will be my 18th year in 18th or 19th, I can't remember, year in real estate. And, I sold a lot individually by myself for a long time and then started a team. But then when I moved into the leadership role, my team still sells, and I'll still make some passive income from that, maybe typically $100,000, $125,000, $150,000 a year passive. And Sarah kind of just runs it and has taken it from there. But that I needed to do that because it set me up, because I knew my mission. I felt more passionate about leadership. And so I needed to do that to set me up to do all these other things. But I could never have imagined to just say, well, forget it. It's just turned off, and never reach out to my clients again. So I think there just has to be, and there's probably better ways I could have done it too. But for me, that was just what worked at the time. But I just think I think sometimes people just aren't thinking through their options.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think I just thought of something. The future episode for us needs to be, because what I hear a lot of people say, I don't know if you hear this or not when they call you, is I really love teaching and training. Do you get that?
Everybody says that.
Okay.
Everybody says that.
So what I'd love to do on another episode is help people discover how you can do that, and not completely give up what you have, right? I think everything you've done in life is prepared you for the next natural door it's trying to open. Yeah. And so how do we look at training and teaching? Because here's the difference. There's so many ways you can be a trainer or a teacher, and some don't pay so good. You know what I mean? So I think perfect example is when Gary said yesterday, as a leader, his number one thing is to recruit, and his number one way that he recruits is through teaching.
Yeah.
So, we got to look at teaching a different way. What is the highest level payoff I can get from teaching that is part of my mission? Because you and I love teaching. We love changing lives. But we've set it up in such a way that it's the highest dollar return probably of anything we do.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'd love to have maybe an episode on that also. Any last thoughts about 2023 being a year that people are really going to probably question who they are. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? What are my options?
Yeah, I just think the first thing that comes to my mind and the last thing to say is I just am grateful for the people that I have in my life around me. And I just think people might just need to reevaluate their who's and go get in better communities before they make quick decisions on things.
Yeah.
Because, part of the reason on the hard days, because everybody has hard days. And yeah, I mean, I think going into next year, there are a lot of people that are going to be thinking these questions and have been for probably the last 2 years. But even on the hard days, it's the people around me that, motivate me to keep going. And I want to do more because I'm surrounded by so many great people and people I ask wise counsel from, people who are leveraged to me, who I could never do things without them. And I just think it has to do a lot with the community and the people around you. And so I don't know, maybe the first question would be like just evaluating your who's and your community and who are you surrounded with? Because in a negative environment, or maybe you're in an environment where you don't even have hardly anybody around you whatsoever, it's really hard to make a decision, and you feel even lonelier when things like this happen.
And you feel like you're the only person it happens to. I mean, there's so many times that, you and I have shared like I'll really be bummed about something that happened, and you'll say, okay, well, let me just tell you what happened to me. And Gary's done it to me for years. And there is a part of you that says, oh, okay, this is kind of just normal. If I'm going to be on the leadership track, I'm going to have some of these things happen. So I can't wait to dive into the leadership, some of my ahas from the Leadership Academy. But again, I think if you're out there and you're just going to say 2023, I'm really questioning, why am I doing this? What am I doing? I would say, one of two things, like Dana said, find someone that you feel like you could talk it out with. Come on our podcast. Let Dana and I talk it out with you. Because I think that would be so helpful for so many other people to let us use them as an example. And so many people would see their own selves in your story. And we'd love to do that. But I would think the most important thing is, let's start with, what do you want your end in mind? What are you passionate about? What are you excited about? What do you feel like? Let's try to figure out what your mission in life is. What is a filter that you can have that you drop every decision you make through, and it becomes an easier decision, and it's not a rash or a quick decision that you either regret later, or your life could have been so much more monetarily better, or just better overall, because you don't just dump one thing to go do something else.
Mm-hmm. I know we're getting ready to end, but you know what I just thought of? I don't even just think this is real estate related. This just hit me. When Adam and I took the kids to Florida for spring break, we were sitting in the hot tub at the pool at the complex where his mom lives. And we were in the hot tub with this guy who we've seen down there a couple of times. And he owned 34 Schlotsky's delis, and he sold them all this year. Yeah. And he was like late 40s, early 50s. And he just said, honestly, he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know I didn't want to do that anymore. And I remember when he got out of the hot tub, Adam and I were still in there, and we looked at each other and we were like, hope that was the right decision to make. So I just don't even think it's just real estate. I mean, I think it's everybody. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everybody. Yeah, everybody. So maybe one of our podcasts too will kind of take them through some exercises to maybe help people think through, what they need to think through. So remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button below, please go ahead and do that right now. And the greatest compliment you can give Dana and I is to give us a great review. We'd love to have you review us, because that helps other people find us. And also, if you have a challenge, an opportunity, or if you want to come on the podcast and let us help you with any big decision you have, reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And be sure and pass this podcast along to any business person or realtor that you feel like would get benefit from these conversations. And Dana, I don't know. Will I see you before Christmas? I don't know. Maybe not.
So.
Merry Christmas and Happy
and
New Year.
That's right. Yes.
All right. See you soon.
Okay. See you soon.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.